Representative Issa, thank you for joining us today. As we can see clearly, you are in your car just leaving the celebration at Camp Pendleton today. What did you think of what you saw in person?
First of all, some of the training exercises continue. There's an osprey flying just, in my view, ahead of us. But this day as a training and demonstration day, quite candidly, was second to none. Whether it was the artillery firing from their historic positions here on the beach, to a combined naval and air operation that was amazing. The halo jumps, these high altitude parachutists, it really was amazing. But what was probably most amazing was the excitement of these young and not so young Marines, Navy corpsmen, Navy SEALs, and even Captain Royce Williams, 100 years old, who was in attendance.
What's the purpose of doing something like this?
Well, the Marines train every day, and they have to train both individually as they do at the infantry school here at Camp Pendleton, but then they also have to train to work together, to have these combined arms. And whether it's at 29 Palms in the desert or Fort Irwin, these other large areas, they do have to train. Well, in this case, the only place on the West Coast and one of the only places in the world to do a D-Day type amphibious landing and the coordinated effort is here at Camp Pendleton. So it's really that unique facility that made us a choice to combine the celebration of 250 years of Marines with this training exercise.
The celebration, of course, was met with frustration and confusion and concern from Governor Gavin Newsom's office. Obviously, it looks like leading up to the celebration, the Marines said that road closures weren't going to be necessary. Obviously, we do know that happened at the direction of Governor Gavin Newsom. What did you make of that back and forth? And did you feel like their safety was put at risk?
Nobody's safety was put at risk. The reality is these are designated firing positions. They have been there for decades. The Marines have used them in the past. As a matter of fact, about 3 times a month, we were told on the East Coast, they regularly fire over State Route 17. The reality is that this is a safe and known event. These artillery rounds, there's no chance of their falling onto I-5. And these positions were predetermined. They're not random. They've been fired from many times before. But look, the governor wanted to prove a point. He not only closed down I-5, but he closed it down for far longer than he should have. The reality is that there was one volley. It lasted a matter of seconds. So 10 minutes before closing it for traffic coming down, and only a few minutes after, and there would have been very, very little interference, even if he wanted to do it. But look, the governor didn't coordinate with the Department of Defense. He didn't allow the California Highway Patrol to properly coordinate. And as a result, he really deliberately hurt the people of California. And if I can add one thing, have you been to Dodger Stadium ever?
I sure have. Unfortunately, I feel like I know where you could be headed with this based on the traffic coming in and out, but I'll let you continue.
100 miles north, he posted signs saying there were closures. That's just campaign advertising. The chances that somebody from Dodger Stadium needed to know that there was a subject of a closing that far ahead was really about what he wanted to do, which was he wanted to trash a military he never belonged to, trash a celebration of 250 years of Marines. And on behalf of the 47,000 or so Marines that call here in Marine Corps West, Camp Pendleton, and Miramar home, shame on the governor, because the fact is it was their day and he just simply made it a little harder.
In what way do you think this could have been resolved with better coordination and advance notice from the White House?
Well, the advance notice was there. I was getting calls saying that the governor was leaking it to the local officials, and they were asking me to get it canceled and so on. And I did go to the Department of Defense and was assured that they were going to do quite a bit of training, but every bit of it, routine and regular training that they do, they were simply going to do it in a combined fashion, and that any need for closure had already been ruled out in the past. But even if they wanted to, they were happy to coordinate if the governor wanted to, an abundance of caution, close for those matter of seconds that rounds would be going over. He closed 1920 mile. And by the way, yesterday, the day before, every day you might hear artillery rounds at Camp Pendleton. It's an important part of their training. We consider it the sound of freedom here in the San Diego, North County area.
What does this latest back and forth between the White House and Newsom tell you about federal-state relations in California?
Well, the governor's running for president. He's lopping off, if he can, 5 members of Republican members of Congress through an unprecedented redistricting, asking the voters to give up something that they've repeatedly voted for, which is nonpartisan districting. So look, the governor is termed out. He's clearly running for president. I've known the man a long time. He's a smart politician. I'm sure he's doing what he thinks is right for his political career. He's just not doing what's right for the people of my district, what's right for the Marines and Navy personnel who serve here in North County in San Diego.
What do you think Americans are looking for right now? We have dueling demonstrations celebrating the military, but hundreds of thousands, if not millions, across the country going through these No King's Day rallies. It seems like there's quite a divide. And what do you think Americans would want to see at the bottom line right now?
Look, there's 380 million Americans, and some of our founding fathers, including famously Aaron Burr and Hamilton, didn't get along, so much so they dueled. I'm not going to tell you that we can end the divide. What we can do, as I do with Juan Vargas and my other colleagues, is do our job every day as best we can and be faithful to our constituents. That's all we can really do.